I don't know if y'all heard about this yet, but there's a situation where an elderly woman passed away after an altercation with an employee at a Tim Hortons. Now, rest in peace to that woman, but the whole situation is starting to piss me off because people are turning it into a race war, obviously because the employee was white and the woman who died was black. But let's get into the facts around the story because people are sparking outrage over the internet before the actual video footage was released on what happened at the restaurant. And when I say people are sparking outrage, this is a good example of what I mean.
Did I just hear? A 75-year-old woman was beat to death the other day by an employee of a Tim Hortons in Indiana, Fort Worth, Indiana. The cops were called. They didn't do anything. Okay, there are videos out there. The video of what happened to this 75-year-old woman. Of course, they didn't do anything because she's black. If she was a white woman, this would already be solved. But this ghetto-ass employee of the Tim Hortons, the video's out there. There was a couple words exchanged, but the police are saying it's like a mutual altercation that they were throwing jaws back and forth. No, the fuck they weren't. This crazy employee put her hands on a 75-year-old black woman and beat her to death in the middle of a restaurant.
And of course, her comment section looks a bit like this, where a lot of people are claiming that they want a race war. People are claiming that the girls at the restaurant, the employees, jumped the woman and brutally beat her and left her there to die. And while it is very unfortunate that this woman lost her life, none of that is true. Now, I do have the video footage. I'm about to play it in a second where it breaks down exactly what happened. But let's first point out this was not a race war. This was not a white girl going after a black woman just because she was black. It is in fact not true that the police did absolutely nothing and just left that woman there to die. It wasn't just some ghetto employee going after a black woman. That's just not what happened. But the moment people see white on black crime and then you have these white apologists screaming, "Oh my God, nothing was done if she was white," then it automatically sparks outrage instead of y'all just actually trying to figure out what really did happen. Instead of running with your emotions, run with facts. You can still be emotional at the fact that a 75-year-old woman did lose her life, but let's know the facts about what really happened. Now let's take a look at what happened.
A patient last Wednesday at the Tim Hortons on Ice Way in Fort Wayne, where an older woman died shortly after.
Police say the decision to release footage stemmed from, quote, a dangerously false narrative from the initial video clip of the altercation that's been circulating on social media. Wayne 15's Taylor King walks us through the footage from the events of May 13th. Taylor.
The Allen County Coroner's Office previously said it would not disclose details, but a report released today coincides with the FWPD statement officially identifying the woman as 75-year-old Anita Grayson. Fort Wayne Police says they released limited information about the case out of respect for Grayson's family. The footage itself has no audio, but FWPD narrated the events in a press release. We want to warn you the footage can be disturbing to some viewers. Around 8:09 a.m. May 13th, Anita Grayson entered the Tim Hortons on Ice Way to address an issue with an order she had received through the drive-thru. Inside, according to FWPD, she began berating a 17-year-old employee there. A 20-year-old shift lead then stepped between Grayson and the teenage employee and repeatedly tells Grayson to leave. Wayne 15 is slowing down the footage to see the events clearly. The shift lead then placed her hand against Grayson to block her from the other employee. Grayson then shoves the shift lead and then hit the shift lead in the nose. Fort Wayne police then show a screen grab of Grayson hitting the shift lead. The footage continues. The shift lead then reacts and moves towards Grayson while swinging her arms in an attempt to hit her. Grayson then grabs the shift lead's face, and police say leaving scratches and knocking off her glasses. Grayson then grabbed the shift lead by the hair and pulled her to the ground and rolled on top of her. The shift lead can be seen swatting at Grayson's arm as she is being held by her hair. Two Tim Hortons employees moved in and attempted to separate them, but struggled to get the shift lead's hair out of Grayson's hand. An employee was able to separate the shift lead from Grayson. And during the struggle, Fort Wayne police point out Grayson pulled the chunk of hair from the shift lead's head. After the altercation, the employees went back to the counter and Grayson sat at a table and spoke to someone on her phone. Not shown in this footage, police say Grayson then laid down on the floor, and according to FWPD, the shift lead brought her a cup of water and a second employee checked on her. Grayson became unresponsive and medics tried to save her life, but she was later pronounced dead at a hospital. Now, Fort Wayne Mayor Sharon Tucker declined an interview with us, but sent a statement before the release of this footage saying, in part, quote, "A life was lost and we mourn. I'm hopeful that through this difficult situation, we can come together as a community with a spirit of understanding and respect for one another. Let's surround the family with care while they prepare to lay their loved one to rest." The report from the coroner's office says her cause and manner of death are both still pending, but the autopsy findings noted, quote, "no significant contributory injuries."
So, as you can see, the woman walks into the Tim Hortons. You see the team lead literally get in between her and the other employee that are arguing. You can clearly see the elderly woman going after the employee that's behind the team lead. The team lead places her hand on the woman, and then the woman proceeds to push her, sock her in her nose, and then that 17-year-old teenager who just got socked in the nose is not thinking that this is a 75-year-old woman, unfortunately, and goes after that 75-year-old woman in self-defense. And then that 75-year-old woman, clearly having more strength, pulls that 17-year-old down to the ground, rips a whole chunk of hair out of her head. And then the other employees, they jump in to get them to separate. They did not jump that elderly woman, which people are spreading rumors online, just sparking more outrage. Oh, these white employees jumped this black elderly woman and the police did nothing about it. Like, dude, the whole situation is very unfortunate, but this is not a fucking reason to constantly try to spark up a race war. This was not a white person who was being racist towards a black person that just hated black people that attacked this black woman. You can clearly see the altercation happened because the team lead was trying to keep that woman from going after the employee behind her and then ended up in a scuffle herself. We can point out that there are some wrongs in this video, but what we're not gonna do is try to turn it into a race war. What we're not gonna do is constantly try to push this narrative. Oh, the police hate black people, so they did nothing, they just let this woman die. Oh, these white kids, they hate black women, they hate black people, so they beat her ass and jumped her until she died. They brutally beat her until she died. That's not what happened, and y'all really need to stop with the bullshit. What happened was that woman came into the store irate over who the fuck knows what, probably a coffee, an order, something stupid, something very stupid, and then went after an employee, got into a scuffle with the team lead. All of that could have been prevented because why was that woman aggressively going after an employee anyways, especially somebody a lot younger than her? Not everybody respects their elders, and that's the part where I say there's some wrongs we can talk about because they shouldn't have put their hands on an elderly woman. But let's be for real. At the end of the day, that woman doesn't look as old as she sounds. 75-year-old sounds really old, but it doesn't look old when you have a 75-year-old woman who's coming after you. You're not thinking at the time like this might be somebody's mom or this might be somebody old with some sort of health problems. You're not thinking that. This woman was being irate. She went after those young employees. Mind you, they're like 17, 16 years old. They're a lot more unhinged than we are. At my age now, I'm a lot more calmer. If a woman that age or just even in general comes into my store being irate with me, I'm just gonna walk the fuck away. But these 17-year-old kids are not like that. And when you're working in customer service positions, especially in fast food, I've worked in a lot of fast food. People don't give a fuck about you. They come in and they treat you like you're fucking garbage. And unfortunately, that elderly woman did come in and was being mad fucking disrespectful to those kids. And those kids turned around, one of them turned around and put hands on that lady. But it wasn't after that lady swung on that employee because that employee didn't hurt the woman. She just pressed to push her back, not even pushing her, literally just placed her hand on the elderly woman to like try to stop the situation from escalating because you can clearly see her trying to go after the other one. Like, I just don't understand how y'all just be trying to make up shit on the internet, turn shit into race wars and clickbait and rage bait. Like, cut it out. Wait for all the facts and be more level-headed if you want to report on something before you put something out there that's going to turn one situation into something more dangerous than what it was. Because what happened to that woman was unfortunate. But as they said, the autopsy report is showing that that woman did not die from any hits or whatever scuffle happened in that restaurant, which means that that woman had an underlying health issue, which is what she died from, probably a heart attack or something. But she didn't die because she was brutally beaten and jumped by Tim Horton employees. Anyways, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but make sure that y'all look at the facts first before you run with your feelings. Let me know how you feel about the situation in the comment section. By the way, as I said, it's unfortunate that this woman lost her life. My prayers go out to her family. Rest in peace to this elderly woman. And hopefully this situation can open eyes on avoiding a next situation. Y'all stop going after these fucking young employees. Stop disrespecting these fast food workers. And these fast food workers, they're young, but somebody needs to try to help teach these kids to just walk away from these people.